Students, now we will move forward in our chapter sexual reproduction in flowering plants. So, first we will discuss about the advantages and disadvantages of the cross pollination. So, in case of advantages, there are certain points. So, the first point is new characters may appear in offspring. So, it can be asked that what is the reason or how the new characters may appear in the offspring. So the answer is genetic recombination takes place, and the second thing, two different individuals are involved to produce the offspring in case of cross pollination. So new character, the combination of characters may appear in case of offspring, means from both the individuals different characteristics will combine, and they may create a new phenotype. So new characters may appear in the offspring. The second point, due to variation among offsprings with new combination of the genome, the population has more adaptation towards environment. So we have already discussed that variation is important for the adaptation of the individual, and it helps in the survival of the population. So what happens here in case of cross pollination, since two different individuals are involved to produce the offspring, so there will be variation among the offspring. And in other words, we can say there will be the variation among the population. So all the individuals will have different adaptation towards the environment. So the survival of these individuals, means the offspring produced by the cross pollination, will be much more as compared to self pollinating offspring. The third point, progeny are more healthy. So we have seen hybrid vigor is there in case of self-pollination. So that hybrid vigor cannot be seen in case of cross-pollination. So as compared to the offspring produced by self-pollination, the cross-pollination is more beneficial. So progeny would be more healthy as compared to the offspring produced by self-pollination. Now the fourth point, disease resistant and high yielding varieties and several much more useful quality of the uh, plants have been developed by using this cross pollination. Since two individuals are involved to produce the offspring, so the characters of two different individuals combine and maybe produced in the offspring. So disease-resistant, high-yielding varieties and several much more qualities can be uh, appeared into the offspring by using cross-pollination. But it is not possible in case of self-pollination, because there is a the offspring will have the same kind of uh, genomic structure as their parent had. But in case of cross pollination, what will happen? The genes from two different individuals will come. So suppose one individual is having the resistant variety, and another individual is having high yielding property, and both will combine. Then it may happen that the offspring will have both the properties, disease resistance as well as high yielding property. So several more useful characteristics can be appeared by the cross pollination. But at the same time, there are some disadvantages with this cross pollination. So the first point is less chance of pollination takes place as compared to self-pollination. So since cross pollination requires two different individuals, so there is very much less chance of the pollination as compared to self-pollinating plants. Now the second point, high amount of energy is wasted for the modification for the successful pollination. So as we have seen that several kind of modifications are needed for the cross pollination, which is not required in case of self pollination. So a lot of energy will be wasted in the modification process. The third point, as it involves genetic recombination and combination of two individuals, sometimes undesirable characteristics may also appear in the progeny. So, as we have seen in case of fourth point of the advantage, so in reverse to that, we can get undesirable characteristics in the offspring. Suppose two individuals are there and one individual is having one of the undesirable property or characteristic, then it may happen that their offspring will have the same undesirable characteristic. So, and it is not predictable that which characteristic will come in the offspring. So it can be beneficial if the good characteristics are coming in the offspring, and if the bad characteristics or undesirable characteristics are coming in the offspring, then it will be disadvantageous. Now we see the modification of flower to regulate the pollination procedure. So, as we can see, there is a wide variation among the plants as well as in their flower. So, and we can see the different means they are using for the pollination process. So, there is a wide variation in their structure, and this wide variation is coming through the modification. So that modification gives the plant to a specific uh, aid which helps in their pollination. So the first thing is chasmogamous flower. So in case of chasmogamous flower, the these flowers are with exposed anther and stigma. And when the anther and stigma will be exposed, then it provides a condition for the cross pollination. So if the anther and stigma will be exposed, then it will help in the process of cross pollination. And in case of clistogamous flower, so two types of flowers are there, or we can say two kinds of modifications are here. So the first we have seen chasmogamous, where the anther and stigma are exposed. But in case of clistogamous flower, flowers are with closed anther and stigma. Means what will happen here? The anther and stigma of the flower will be closed by one of the part of the flower. And what will happen when the anther and stigma will not be exposed? Then uh, only self pollination will take place in case of that plant. So we can see there are two kinds of modifications, chasmogamous and clistogamous. So in case of clistogamous, you can assume a flower which is having anther and stigma, which is present inside a closed structure. And the very good example of the clistogamous flower is pea. So in case of pea, if you have seen the flower, then their anther and stigma are present inside the petal. In another word, we can say petal will close the system of pollination, means anther and stigma will not be exposed. So ultimately, there is the there is only the chance of self pollination only. Cross pollination will not occur naturally in case of pea plant. Now, now we will discuss about the agents and type of cross pollination. So there are mainly two agencies, abiotic and biotic agencies. Means one category is abiotic factor and another category is biotic factor. In case of abiotic factors, non-living agents such as air and water is involved to transfer the pollen grain from one flower to another. But in case of biotic factor or biotic agencies, living organisms are involved to transfer the pollen grain from one flower to another. And the examples of these living organisms are insect, bird, bat, snail, and several more advanced organisms are also involved in the transfer of pollen grain. Now, uh, as per the as per the kind of pollination, the plants and the flower is showing some modifications so that it will be easy for them for their pollination and for finally for their survival. So first we will discuss about the anemophily. So when the pollination is taking place by the wind or air, then this kind of pollination is called anemophily. And there are some modifications in the plants, in their pollen grains, in their stigma, and several more body parts. So the plants which is going through the anemophily, generally they swing freely into the air current. Their pollen grains are smooth, light-weighted, small, dry, and they are produced in large quantity. Their stigma are generally large and protruding and feathery. So the light-weighted, smooth, dry, and large quantity of pollen grain helps in the pollination process. And the stigma are large, protruding, and feathery just because they have to trap the pollen grain which is coming through the air current. Generally, these flowers are having single ovule or ovary. And in case of these flowers, numerous flowers are packed in a single inflorescence. So the chance would be more for the successful pollination. If several flowers would be there, then there will be more chance to produce the offspring. Now the examples are palm, grass, etc. Now the pollination by water. When the pollination is taking place by the means of water, then the term we are using is hydrophily. We can see here hydrophily, and generally it is not a very common procedure of the pollination, but it mostly takes place in monocots, and especially the monocots which is living in the water or nearby the water. And here it can again be categorized into two methods. First one is hypohydrophily and the second is epihydrophily. So in case of hypohydrophily, pollination takes place below the water. So what happens? Here the pollen grain has been transferred inside the water. So if the pollen grain is not coming out of water and it is transferred under the water, then it will be called as hypohydrophily. But in case of epihydrophily, the pollination takes place at the surface of water. Means what will happen here? The pollen grain will float on the water surface and pollination will take place. So in case of hypohydrophily, means the submerged process of the pollination, the examples are Zostera and Ceratophyllum. And in case of epihydrophily, Vallisneria. One note has also been given. Pollen grains, okay. There is the modification in the pollen grains of the plants which is going through the hydrophily procedure. The pollen grains are covered with the mucilage. So this mucilage covers the pollen grain and it provides a protection to the pollen grain from the water. So what will happen here? The pollen grain would be there and around the pollen grain mucilage will be there, and that mucilage will help to protect the pollen grain from the water. Now pollination by insect, and when the pollination is taking place by the insect, then the term will be used entomophily. Entomophily is the procedure in which the pollen grain is transferred by the insect. And here again, there are some modifications. So in these kind of flowers, generally they are large, bright colored petal. They will have a particular scent or nectar, and uh, they have a strong odor. So all these things aids the flower to attract the insects so that the pollination will be taken place. Now, the pollen grains. So, in case of flowers or the plants which is going through the anemophily, they have the modifications in their pollen grain also, as they will be sticky, spinous outgrowth of exines. So what will happen here? If the pollen grain would be sticky, then it will be easy for them to adhere on the body of the insect, and it will help for the transfer of pollen grain from one place to another. And here the stigma are also sticky just because they have to receive the pollen grain which is adhered on the body of the insect. So here the pollen grain as well as the stigma are sticky, which helps in the transfer of pollen grain from one place to another and to receive the pollen grain by the stigma. Now some specific modifications we can see here, as in case of salvia. We can see here by this figure we can understand the modification. We can see here this one is one flower and this one is another flower. So in case of salvia, protandry or protandrous condition is there. So as we have already discussed, what is the meaning of protandrous condition. So in case of salvia, versatile anther is there. So this versatile kind of anther helps the dusting of the pollen grain from the insect. So lever mechanism is there. So you can see here that this is the anther. So there is a lever kind of structure. When insect enters inside the flower to get the nectar or to get their food, then what will happen here? The lever structure, which is called as versatile anther, will help to dust the pollen grain on the body surface of the insect. Got it? So since the pollen grains are sticky here, so these pollen grains will stick on the body of the insect. And what will happen after that? When the same insect will go to the another flower, then you can see the stigma here. So the stigma will receive the sticked pollen grain from the insect's body. So you can see in case of salvia, versatile anther is there, and this is the kind of modification which helps in the uh, transfer of pollen grain from one flower to another flower by insect. Now, the second example is Amorphophallus. So, in case of Amorphophallus, as we know that these are the largest flower, and here what happens? Insect, as it is the largest flower, so several insects used to lay their eggs in the flower. So, if there will be the egg of the insect, then they will come inside and will go outside several times. So by this they will help in the pollination procedure. The most important example has also been given here, yucca. Yucca is the plant uh, which is having a special kind of flower in which a specific moth is there. The name of moth is Pronuba. That Pronuba moth lays the egg inside the flower of yucca, and inside the flower, and more particularly in the locules of the ovary. So what happens? Along with their completing their life cycle, they also help in the pollination process in case of yucca plant. Now, the another kind of pollination is taking place by birds. and here the term will be used as ornithophily. So when the birds are helping the plants to transfer their pollen grain, then now this kind of pollination will be called as ornithophily. And small birds are involved here, such as hummingbirds and sunbirds. And uh, in case of these kind of flowers, there are some modifications, as generally they are cup-shaped tubular flowers, and they produce large quantity of nectar, and they are generally in bright color, so that the birds will be attracted, and the birds will go to get the nectar or their food, and along with that they will help in the transfer of their pollen grain, and generally it takes place in silk trees and bottle brush trees. Now the next kind of pollination is called chiropterophily. So in case of this kind of pollination procedure, bats are involved. So what happens? Generally, these flowers are having a special kind of modification, so that they will attract to the moth, and to feed the moth, generally bats come, and through the bat the pollen grain will be transferred. And the examples of those plants are kadam and sausage plant and Beunia flower. Now the last kind of pollination procedure, which can which we can see here, melecophily. So melecophily is the pollination procedure which is taking place by the snails, and generally it takes place in land plants and aquatic plants. In case of land plants, chrysanthemum is the example, and in case of aquatic plants, lemnia is the plant which is going through the melecophily. Thank you.